Something happened to you this morning, something you still haven't been able to put into words, but that changed the vibration of everything around you. You felt a weight dissolve while, paradoxically, an absolute clarity took hold of your chest. No one around you noticed because what happened wasn't an external event. It was a silent reorganization inside you. I came here because I know exactly what you've been carrying in silence for these last 31 days. You've been feeling like someone walking through a room where the lights have been turned off, moving by memory instead of sight, hoping the next step will be solid. Today, this sign reveals itself. During the time we spend together, you'll recognize why the delay you've experienced in your life is not a failure, not a punishment, not a lack of luck. You'll understand why the waiting was, in truth, a silent preparation you couldn't grasp while you were still in the middle of the furnace. Before we finish, I'm going to show you the exact pattern that has been blocking what you seek, and I'm going to leave over your life a declaration that is the very reason this moment found you on this Sunday. You've been noticing symptoms that can no longer be ignored. It's that exhaustion that won't lift even after rest, because it's not fatigue of the body, it's fatigue of the soul from someone trying to uphold a world that no longer fits you. You look at people, at your surroundings, at the places that used to be your refuge, and you feel a strange distance, as if you were a spectator in your own story, watching a movie whose lines you no longer remember. This isn't depression. This is a necessary misalignment. You no longer belong to the place you're trying to leave, but the new ground hasn't yet solidified beneath your feet. Here is the deep cause no one told you. You spent years carrying weights that were never yours. You inherited expectations, pains, and rhythms from generations that barely knew how to take care of themselves, and you took on the responsibility of keeping everything running. You became a pillar of support for those who weren't willing to walk, and your exhaustion is simply the result of trying to carry the world while your own boat was anchored in shallow waters. You've been confusing your loyalty with your enslavement. Attention! You need to prepare yourself now. I have prepared material for those who doubt their own calling from God and still do not have confirmation. Are you one of the chosen? We'll give you that clarity. These are the 7 signs of the language of the calling, marks of God in the story of every chosen one, so you can reread your story and recognize the purpose sealed over you before the foundation of the world. Stop calling coincidence what is actually a calling. Stop silencing the sacred restlessness. Stop postponing the answer you feel. Your window is closing, and a chosen one who does not recognize the calling does not walk in purpose. More than 10,000 people have already read the 7 signs and received the conviction they had been seeking for years. They were just like you. They felt something no one understood. They lived in silent doubt, and they discovered it was real. And it had a name. The offer is open only this month. Access the link in the pinned comment now before doubt steals another year from your calling. If any of these symptoms just resonated in your spirit, if you felt the weight on your shoulders ease a little while reading these words, make a small mark. It's not just a number. It's the frequency that recognizes the shifting tides and the alignment you're about to reach. By typing 888, you're telling the universe that you're ready to let go of what doesn't belong to you. Type the numbers and return to me immediately, because the revelation continues. You're feeling the movement of the currents. That subtle but steady pull that signals your mooring is no longer a harbor, but a prison. Imagine your boat, your life project, your very essence, which for so long was tied to heavy chains of iron and salt, sunk into ground you believed was solid, but was only mud. What you're living now is not a storm that came to sink your ship. It's the process of cutting. The chains are being released one by hands you cannot see, but whose precision you can feel. For years you kept the boat still in shallow waters, afraid that if you sailed, you would lose yourself or lose what you had gained. But what you didn't realize is that while you worried about the safety of the anchor, your hull was rotting from lack of movement. Stagnant waters bring only the weight of the past. Now the silence you hear, that strange stillness enveloping your life, is the sound of chains striking the ocean bed as they come loose. You are not being abandoned. You are finally being set free to sail into the depth that has always been your rightful place. The boat needs to move, and movement requires you to trust not in the sight of the horizon, but in the direction of the wind that blows toward you this Sunday. Many times, the pain of the loss you recently went through, whether of a person, a status, or a security that seemed eternal, was the mechanism that emptied your deck. You may have felt that in losing that, you were losing yourself. But in truth, you were only being prepared for the new cargo. You cannot put new wine into old wineskins, and you cannot sail toward the new while carrying the weight of who you no longer are. That emptying was an act of mercy. It was life's way of ensuring that when the moment of departure came, your boat would be light enough to bear the weight of the glory to come. The sadness you feel is mourning for an old version of yourself that had to die so that your true identity could rise to the main deck. You are not empty. You are ready to be filled with what is genuine. Take a deep breath now, letting the air out slowly, and let the awareness of this moment fill the space around you. It's not just a phrase, it's a surrender. It's your way of signaling to the cosmos that you are no longer hiding, no longer protecting yourself, no longer waiting for the sun to appear before you start walking. By typing "I am here," you declare that your presence is a fact and that your readiness is complete. Type that phrase now, and as soon as you finish, return to me, because we need to complete what was begun. If this message confirmed what your spirit was already whispering in the quietest hours of the night, let your gesture of liking this content serve as an amen without words. Don't see it as a metric or a number to be seen by others, but as a sacred commitment between you and the truth that was revealed here today. Your touch is the seal that you heard, understood, and accepted responsibility for your own journey. It is a silent acknowledgement that what was named here is your reality, and that you don't need anyone's permission to walk toward it. The solution to what you're living is not to find more strategies, nor to work more hours, nor to seek more external approval. The solution is the return to silence. It's learning to inhabit stillness with the same naturalness with which you inhabit your own body. You've spent so much time being, doing, attending, and solving that you forgot how to simply be. Your calling is already defined. It is not a future construction you need to build brick by brick. It is a presence that already lives inside you, waiting only for you to stop running so it can manifest. Accept that your calling does not depend on what the world thinks about your usefulness. It depends on your willingness to be who you were designed to be, without the masks that fear or the need to please have imposed on your face. Sit in the silence of your own soul. Let the dust of others' expectations settle. What remains under that dust, when the noise stops, is what you are. That is your starting point for what comes next. Don't force clarity. Just allow it to arise when you stop demanding immediate answers. You already know the way. The way is your own being, stripped of everything that is not yours. There is someone in your immediate circle, someone who walks beside you, but whose burden you rarely see with full clarity, who desperately needs this message tonight. It is that person who has been working with a silent, almost invisible diligence, while watching the doors they've sought remain closed to their effort. It is someone whose nights are marked by a vigil no one else notices, someone who carries a wisdom matured in pain, but has not yet found an echo for their own voice. While I was speaking, that person's face arose in your mind with a clarity that cannot be ignored. You know exactly who it is, and you know that person is living exactly what you just overcame or what you are about to leave behind. Send this signal to them. What you receive today is not your exclusive property. It is an assignment of service. Deliver it to that person as a gesture of care. and in doing so, know that you are serving as the bridge through which their confirmation will finally arrive. Before this shared journey of ours comes to its moment of rest, there is one final definition that needs to be engraved at the center of your being. It is not a wish, not a hope you project into the future, and not a hypothesis about who you would like to become. It is a confirmation of a truth that already exists. Type these words calmly, feeling each letter as if you are anchoring your identity in ground that can no longer be shaken by external circumstances or others' opinions. What you are typing is your final agreement with your own story. It is the acceptance that your calling is not a detour, but the reason you resisted everything that tried to bend your will. By writing, "I am the chosen one," you declare that your readiness is complete, and that your alignment with your truth is, from this moment forward, non-negotiable. Let your fingers do the work your soul is already doing in this exact second. You are called, you are prepared, you are sent. These three truths sustain your existence in this cycle. You are called to be the difference in environments that still do not understand your light. You are prepared through the disappointments that taught you to distinguish what is essential from what is merely illusory. You are sent to occupy your place, not to compete for spaces that were not designed for you, but to manifest your essence wherever you set your feet. Feel the weight of these words. They are not vague promises. They are decrees over your life. Every difficulty you faced was a chisel shaping your final form. Every delay you suffered was a time of protection so that you would not arrive at your destination before you were ready to sustain the magnitude of what has been entrusted to you. At this exact moment, while your attention is here, tuned into this frequency of recognition, know that thousands of other people, scattered across every corner of this world, are receiving this same revelation. There is a silent awakening happening in hearts that, like yours, were keeping their pains secret, waiting for the sign that would confirm they had not lost their minds. You are part of something that needs no fanfare, something that does not announce itself with trumpets, but is known by the deep sense of peace it brings to the spirit. What is happening here is the recognition of a sisterhood that does not depend on physical distance or scheduled meetings. It is the alignment of souls that, regardless of where they are on the map, chose to hear the call that most insist on silencing with the noise of daily life. You are not walking this path alone, and the evidence that you are in the right place is the very stillness that now begins to fill your chest, replacing the anxiety that once dictated the rhythm of your breathing. Everything that was exposed, everything that was named, and everything that was recognized in this span of time now settles inside you as an unalterable truth. You no longer need to seek outside what has already been delivered within. You no longer need to prove to anyone the truth of your walk, because your life now becomes the evidence itself. Walk with the lightness of one who knows who they are, who understands their role, and who no longer lets themselves be distracted by the shadows that try to turn your gaze from the horizon that belongs to you. The time for hiding is over, and the time for manifesting has come, not with brute force, but with the authority of one who has finally recognized their own voice. What has been awakened will not sleep again. What has been revealed cannot be unseen. What was begun today finds its anchoring point. There is a frequency of silence that precedes every great change, and it is precisely in that frequency that you have been living in recent times. Many around you interpret your withdrawal as a sign of weakness, of isolation, or of aimlessness, but they cannot see what happens behind the curtain of your routine. They look at your life and see stagnation, while you, deep within your being, feel that you're going through a process of deep refinement. You have been guarded by an invisible hand, led through deserts that in truth served only to extract from you everything that did not belong to your original essence. What you feel today, that restlessness accompanied by absolute certainty, is not a detour. It is the foretelling. If you look at the last few months, you will see that the landscape has changed subtly but irreversibly. People who once had a set place at your table began to drift away, or perhaps it was you who, without apparent explanation, no longer found the energy to maintain bonds that no longer vibrated on the same frequency. There was no fight, no disagreement. There was only a change of season in your soul. The digits you type represent your conscious yes to this new cycle that is opening. They are your recognition that the exhaustion you felt was not the end, but the payment of the necessary price for your freedom. Type 888 and then return so we can continue unspooling this thread. The cause of so much fatigue is not the work you do, nor the responsibilities you carry. The cause is the weight of what you have been sustaining without need. You spent years carrying the expectation of figures who are already gone, or of versions of yourself that no longer exist. You tried to build a house on a foundation that belonged to the past, when your current structure demands a foundation of truth and transparency. What you are living is a reconfiguration. Imagine a boat, anchored for decades, in a harbor that no longer offers the deep waters it needs to sail. The pain you feel when releasing the lines is the pain of lost security. But what comes next is the horizon that has always called you. Letting go of the anchor is not abandoning the harbor, it is allowing the ship to fulfill the purpose for which it was designed. Many times, our resistance to accepting the new is born from the fear of losing what gave us a false sense of control. You may have cried over losses that seemed like catastrophes, without understanding that in truth it was the space being cleared for what is finally yours. The emptiness you find after the tears is not a place of desolation, it is a place of preparation. It is fertile soil where the seed you carry, that idea, that project, or that new way of existing, can finally germinate without the interference of weeds. What broke cannot be glued back together, because what is coming does not fit into the molds of what was. That phrase is your signature on the contract of your own transformation. Just write it and return to our thread of conversation. Do not try to rush the process, nor seek logical explanations for what is essentially spiritual. Your mind seeks reasons, but your spirit seeks recognition. When you allow yourself simply to be, without the constant need to prove your worth, the flow of life begins to run through you again with a clarity that was once murky. Perhaps it is someone from your family, a longtime friend, or someone who crossed your path recently and in whom you felt a mirror of your own reflection, someone whose eyes carry the brightness of the search, but also the weariness of one who has been waiting a long time for an answer that does not come from outside. When you think of that person, do not hesitate. It is not a social recommendation, it is a delivery of aid. They need to know that what they feel is not isolation but preparation. They need to hear, just as you heard, that the delay is not denial. It is only the time of maturation. Make sure the signal reaches the one who needs it, and as you do that, realize that your own gesture of kindness is what seals your entry into the new stage. There is no merit in keeping the light only for yourself. Your silent gesture in this moment is your confirmation. Do not see it as a number, nor as a technical data point. See it as your amen without words. It is the mark of an agreement that was made between your will and your truth. It is the recognition that among so many voices and so much noise, something here spoke the language your heart understood. It is the point of intersection where your search meets the answer, and where you stop being the one who was searching to become the one who was finally found. Hold that stillness. What was revealed does not need shouts to be sustained. It sustains itself by the strength of your own conviction. Now take a deep breath. What you are living is not an accident. It is the answer to your silent cry, the one you could not always articulate in words, but that pulsed in every beat of your chest. The authority you are beginning to feel does not come from outside. It emanates from your own acceptance of the call. You are no longer the person who begged for an opportunity. You are the person who understands that the opportunity is the very unfolding of your existence in alignment with what is true. Your walk from here on will not be measured by the speed with which you achieve results, but by the precision with which you occupy your place in the world. There is no longer any need to chase after what, by right of essence, is already moving toward you. You are called, you are prepared, you are sent. Wherever you place your hands, what was dry will come back to life, because you no longer carry the weight of the dead or the burden of who you tried to be to please the world. Your essence is now your compass. Your intuition, once drowned out by fear, is now the voice that guides your steps with the certainty of one who knows the terrain. Feel this change in every fiber of your body. Feel how the weight on your shoulders lifts, how your breathing becomes deeper, and how clarity replaces confusion. You have arrived, finally, at the place where you were always meant to be. Before this moment closes, type "I am the chosen one" with all the conviction your spirit now holds, not as a question, but as the final affirmation of one who has recognized their own worth and their own destiny. Let these words be the definitive signature in the book of your new story. Type it now and let the universe register your yes. There is an archetype walking beside you, someone you know well, but whose pain you have only begun to map. It is that person who, in the midst of a crowd, maintains absolute silence, someone who has been working with almost invisible dedication, piling up efforts without reaping the fruits that natural justice should provide. You look at that person's face now, and you realize that their restlessness is not a lack of faith, but the fatigue of one who waits for a sign that never seems to arrive. That person is the reflection of who you were until very recently. Send this message as one who hands a map to a traveler lost in the desert. It is not a social recommendation, it is a delivery of purpose. The same signal that touched your soul today was designed to find its way back to them through your hands. Observe how the environment around you seems to have reshaped itself. The pieces that once felt disconnected are starting to form a coherent picture. You spent years trying to fit your dreams into molds that weren't designed for your stature, trying to serve as a foundation for structures that weren't yours. Now, notice the lightness that comes when you finally stop holding up what was never entrusted to you. The exhaustion you carried wasn't a sign of weakness. It was the weight of armor that no longer fit your spiritual body. The transition you're living through this Sunday, May 31st, isn't an interruption of your journey. It's the beginning of your true path. Everything you left behind, every plan that didn't materialize, was just a course correction to keep you from arriving at the wrong place. Breathe in the truth of what's happening. You're being stripped of what was superfluous so you can carry what is eternal. The losses you faced over the past months were actually clearings of space to accommodate the new frequency that now inhabits your consciousness. Don't mourn the emptiness that remains. Emptiness is the womb of creation. It's in the silence that follows the storm that the voice of your own essence becomes audible, clear, and undeniable. You no longer need external validation to know you're on the right path, because your inner peace is the only seal of authenticity you need to carry. Feel that calm flowing through your being. It's the certainty of someone who finally doesn't have to prove anything to anyone, not even to yourself. You are home, not in a geographic place, but in the state of being that has always been waiting for you. Hold that posture of a conscious observer. What's being revealed today is only the first movement of a sequence of events that will bring definitive clarity about your role in the world. You are no longer at the mercy of circumstances, because now you understand that circumstances are just the stage where your sovereignty manifests. Time is no longer something you lose, but something you govern with your attention. By focusing on what is essential, everything else aligns automatically, without effort, without struggle. simply because you are present in your own truth. The sign you've been waiting for doesn't come with thunder, but with the stillness of a certainty born inside you that expands until it touches everything around you. It's the harvest arriving, not by your sweat, but by your willingness to stop resisting what life has already prepared. If something inside you now grows quiet, if the weight that seemed impossible to carry has finally turned to dust before the revelation this Sunday, May 31st, has brought, know that this is the recognition of your own essence. Let that recognition settle where it has just touched. The act of typing these 3 words makes your presence, your vigil, permanent in your own record. Type them now, and then come back to me, because we still have one final step to take. If what we've discussed here confirmed what your spirit already recognized as truth, let your taste be your wordless amen. Not as a metric, but as a silent agreement, an invisible seal confirming that what was named today was named with precision and truth. There is someone in your life who needs to hear exactly these words tonight. Someone who has been working much harder than the people around them, watching doors that keep refusing to open. Someone who carries a silence no one can decipher, bearing a posture that the ordinary world cannot reach. That person's face just came to your mind. It wasn't a coincidence. Send this message to them now, not as a recommendation, but as a delivery. The same path that found you today was designed to reach them through your hands. It is sealed. Attention! You need to prepare yourself now. I have prepared material for those who doubt their own calling from God and still do not have confirmation. Are you one of the chosen? We'll give you that clarity. These are the 7 signs of the language of the calling, marks of God in the story of every chosen one, so you can reread your story and recognize the purpose sealed over you before the foundation of the world. Stop calling coincidence what is actually a calling. Stop silencing the sacred restlessness. Stop postponing the answer you feel. Your window is closing, and a chosen one who does not recognize the calling does not walk in purpose. More than 10,000 people have already read the 7 signs and received the conviction they had been seeking for years. They were just like you. They felt something no one understood. They lived in silent doubt, and they discovered it was real. And it had a name. The offer is open only this month. Access the link in the pinned comment now before doubt steals another year from your calling.